Hey, so I'm Emily Lutzker, and besides being part of Aging 2.0, I also run an innovation company called Invo. And it's Invo's mission to be a bridge between the right-brainers and the left-brainers of the world. And one great thing that right-brainers do is we do context very well. And so I'm going to be here tonight telling you about this baby boomer market and to contextualize them a little bit in culture. So you can tweet at me, by the way, at Lutzker. I'll tweet back later. So what's been happening is that the boomers just last year started turning 65, which is retirement for everyone. If you don't know the stats in this market about how many of them there are, there were 77 million births during this period of time, less than 20 years. Now, 26% of the US population, which is huge. So they're not, this aging market that we're talking about anymore. They are the market. And these people that are, 50 to 65, that are late 40s to 65, they have all of the buying power in the country, and they're cool, they're hip. Some of us we're cool, we're hip, or getting there. And this is what they're spending their money on. They control over 80% of personal financial assets in the country. I mean, these aren't small stats. They're pretty significant for 26% of the population to control that percent of the wealth. They're spending 50% of the money that's out there, and they buy 77% of all prescription drugs. I guess they got into their drug usage kind of early, and they're continuing that, just in a more legal way. And they spend 80% of the leisure travel money that's out there. They spend it. So the 55 plus cohort is responsible for over half of consumer spending in the next 20 years. I put some pictures that are just showing what was kind of happening during their formative years here, because they've changed a lot. And what we need to do is to understand them a little bit better. They don't like to age. They want to stay forever young. I mean, who doesn't? But now, aging is cool, so we need to make cool products for them. But look at what they're spending in the anti-aging industry. By 2015, it's going to top $115 billion. And they're still going at it. They're resisting aging. They're resisting retirement. 25% of them say that they don't want to retire at all. I mean, who wants to retire when working at a fabulous place like Deutsch or anywhere else can be so much fun, but also rewarding. And unlike the generation before them that decided that they wanted to relax into retirement and sort of do nothing, and they were very excited for that part of their lives, this is the experience economy. They want to discover new things, and they want to learn new things. And with their free time, they're not stopping what they're doing. They're just doing more. They're doing more, and they're spending more, which is a great opportunity for us. And which explains why they don't want to go into those old-style nursing homes and being taken care of, and they don't want to move to Florida and Arizona like the generation before them. They actually prefer to age in place. So we need to figure out what kind of technologies, what sort of healthcare solutions, what sort of consumer products will appeal to this market. And they're not all the same. This is a common breakdown of two sort of groups of the boomer market. And having studied media and communications, I put up a couple of shots of films which came out or were popular or depict their formative years. So basically, you see The Graduate on top, which is the story of a 22-year-old coming of age in 1967. So this is the leading generation of baby boomers. And have any of you seen The Graduate? Yes. Have any of you not seen The Graduate? Oh, okay. Anyway, as all of you know, at the end there, you know, two 22-year-olds who say, we're not going to do what our parents told us to do. You know, this is the definition of the generation gap. We're different than the generation before us. I'm not going to marry that guy I was supposed to marry, and I'm not going to go into plastics like I was supposed to, and we're going to run away at the church, you know, block the door with the cross, and get on that school bus, you know, which is dusty with no money in our pocket, and go off into the wild and explore life. So this part of the baby boomers, they wanted to explore life in that way. The second half of the baby boomers, which is also known as Generation Jones, the movie was made later. It's from Dazed and Confused, but a friend of mine who graduated high school in 1976, which is when the movie takes place, she says, it was just like that. My high school was just like that. That they obviously, you know, even from the picture there, they had grown up with the sexual revolution. They knew that was something that they could embrace. That their lives, they could embrace it in a different way, certainly than their parents had and the generations before them. So for me, as I was starting this research with Aging 2.0. A couple of things happened that were brought to my attention, and one of them is how this generation identifies themselves with the music of their formative years so strongly. And they were the first generation to grow up with rock and roll, with television. And I think that they identify with music so strongly because of television, because of the visual images they had of the rock stars that were around. You know, they were kids when the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan. They saw them. They saw Elvis Presley and his gyrating hips, you know, in a different way than the generations before. So they had an emotional response to it. This is an ad, and I'm not going to spend time playing us, but that Blue Cross Blue Shield's Anthem Blue Cross did. That is very recent, and they tapped into this emotional response that the boomers have. Basically, grandparents sitting upstairs, they're hearing a band playing, and they say, you know, oh, that's horrible, that noise, all of that, you know, let's go downstairs and help, you know, our grandchildren. So they get there, of course, it's the granddaughters, which is even better, and Grandpa, you know, takes the electric guitar and says, let me show you how it's done, and, you know, plays Born to Be Wild, which, you know, came out probably in his high school years, and the ad says, you're more rocker than rocking chair, you know, which to me was very poignant about the identity of this group. So I tried to break it down a little bit and looking at the silent generation, the generation that came before it, and what the music was that was influencing them, you know, which was Nat King Cole and Frank Sinatra and Lawrence Welk and the Marvelettes. In there, and that they weren't driven in the same way. But then I did a little math, and if you were born in 1945 and you were 18 in 1963, that's the math there. So what was happening? We had Jimi Hendrix was coming out. Also, the Rolling Stones. You were mid-stage Beatles already. The Beatles were not new. They were hippies, and they were already, you know, doing the flower power thing and wearing bell bottoms and everything like that. And later on, even as the newer boomers grew up, I matched them up with Led Zeppelin, with Linda Ronstadt, and with ABBA. Now, you don't really think of your grandparents listening to ABBA, do you? Of thinking that's the kind of emotional response they might have, you know, when you're talking to your grandparent. You think that they're going to be wearing a house coat, you know, buying a travel alarm clock, you know, all kinds of different little things that they wanted in their lives. But now, you know, this generation that listened to ABBA, that identified with Blondie and John and Yoko, you know, and their naked pictures in bed and all of this, that they want something else. And we can really use that kind of identification through music to speak to this group in a way that I think hasn't been done before. So I'll talk about the next trend that we see, which is design for all. And the big famous boomer who's recently passed away, do I need to mention his name? Who actually was the icon for, exactly, hold up that little device there, Jeff, was the icon, you know, doing design for all, who watched children play with computers. And he knew, Steve Jobs knew, that what a kid wants to play with, of course what an older person also wants to play with and wants to use, that was good user experience. And a regular adult, whatever those people are, since they're now boomers too, they could use that thing too. And if you design well and you design for everyone across the board, that product, it makes no difference, and it's not speaking down to that sort of regular adult, to that agile adult, or whatever we want to call them now. So this emerging trend, design for all, OXO did it extremely well with their Good Grips line that came out. Not only just designed for people with arthritis, for kids with little hands, but also, you know, for anyone to use and do a better job in the kitchen. So the idea is to make well-designed products for everyone, for this market. And continue this design for all. In thinking about the language that we have to use, and hopefully, Cheryl, I don't know if you'll touch on this a little bit later, they don't like to be age marketed to. You know, don't call me senior, older adult. Certainly don't call me young lady was actually a direct quote from one of the retirees that we had interviewed in Florida. How it's patronizing, and certainly you don't think that any of these ladies, you know, should be referred to in that way. And they don't speak about themselves in that way. Actually, they're sexy. Over 50 is sexy now, and they're having sex, and they're having a lot of sex. There's this organization called Safer Sex for Seniors that did one of the raciest, fabulous YouTube ads that's out there, you know, which is all of these seniors kind of in these sexual poses, and to house music. It's great if you have a chance to go look at their website, and talking about how the seniors in Florida, the rate of STDs is rising among them. You know, they have Viagra, they're living it up. You know, they're just above. You know, we don't want to think about our parents doing it, but you know, they're all doing it. So anyway, and they're all getting plastic surgery because they all still want to look good. You know, it's the me generation, and they're spending money on themselves because they want to look good and they want to feel good and they want to know things. There was a book that came out a while ago called Balsamic Dreams, which was kind of a parody of the baby boomer generation. I don't know if any of you know it. But you know, which really the name itself kind of epitomizes the generation. How, you know, they brought in, you know, not just the sexual revolution and civil rights movement, but also, you know, they wanted to experience things. They wanted to experience balsamic vinegar, you know, which was a fancy imported specialized item. They want to feel special. Who doesn't want to feel special? And they taught us all that. So some trends we can see in terms of new business models that are emerging. They're no different than what everybody else is doing. We see the peer-to-peer models are very strong. Even in the silent generation seniors right now, they're teaching each other things and they're learning things. They want to continue learning. There's a group that sort of started across the United States called the Institute for Learning and Retirement. And they're teaching each other stuff every day in classes, but they're also getting on Skillshare, and they want to share stuff with each other. They're using Zipcar. We think it's for us 20-year-olds, you know, us 20-year-olds, those 20-year-olds, who I keep forgetting. How old am I anyway? who don't have cars, but it's for everyone. You know, you can share things, and especially if you're on a fixed income, who wants to clip coupons anymore? You can actually just go to Groupon and you can show it on your smartphone. They all have smartphones. Hopefully, Jeff, I don't know if you have some statistics later about the use of technology, but you know, I know, I'm sorry. My parents in their 70s, they're on Facebook, and most of the boomers are getting on Facebook, especially to watch their children and see what they're doing. They want to use technology to connect with their families. They want to use the technology to have experiences in the world. So besides that, some of the things that we'll be seeing are new lifestyle communities rather than nursing homes. The boom communities, which are a lesbian, gay, new type of community, high designed, where people can go and when they retire and have a good time and connect with people that have that want to experience the world in the same way that they have. And they're also looking to the future. This was one statistics that I read, was that was that most of the hybrid car buyers are above 50 in age group. So they all they care about the environment, and they want to preserve the environment for the future generations. So a couple of things that may be emerging in the future. I don't know if anyone of you saw the ad campaign and the collection that Iris Apfel did for Mac. It's not for the older generation. She is now calling herself a geriatric starlet, and she's a big advocate of how attitudes can change towards older people. It's a really, really nice line, and nobody considers her that she's not fashionable. She is with it. Just look at her glasses. And something else, speaking of ageism, which is going to be on the decline. I'm a sucker for anything with lots of CGI effects, and especially if there's a space alien and the world's going to blow up. So I went to go see the movie Battleship. And of course, the world was about to be destroyed, but and our young heroes that look great, that know all the coolest technology, they're about to save the day, but oh no, maybe they can't do it, and they're at the end, and here's the climax of the movie, and what can we use to fight against this horrible threat from outer space? Oh look, there's this old Navy ship, and there's some old guys on it, which is a really good thing because the young guys don't know how to run this ship. So they swoop in and they say, hey, Grandpa, can you come in and help us fight these aliens from outer space? And they say, for sure we can. So they come in, save the day, and the world goes on, forever, of course. But what was so nice about it was really to see this older generation that knew about the analog technology teaching the younger generation about things that they had learned and created in their strategies. So I started talking to some people in the military about how they view the older generation. And I found out that it's actually illegal to disrespect your senior officers. So using that as an example, not the military, with our soldiers returning from Afghanistan, and Iris, what I see for the next 5 years is really some decline in ageism, and how those kinds of attitudes, like what we're talking about here, I mean, obviously getting all these people in this room together, will change how we look at aging in general. So anyway, thanks very much. And if you want to talk to me some more, we're all living till 100 these days, so we have time.